Top 10 Fastest Ford Muscle Cars in Company History. Hello and welcome to our channel. In this video we'll answer age-old questions like, what's Ford's most famous engine? As we unveil the top 10 fastest Ford muscle cars in company history. So without further ado, let's dive in. Number 10. 1973 Ford Falcon XB GT. 0 to 60 miles per hour, 6.3 seconds. The 1973 Ford Falcon XB GT debuted during the golden age of muscle cars. The late 60s and the early 70s were indeed the golden age of muscle cars, when many automakers tried hard to offer a model in the growing American car culture. The 1973 Ford Falcon XB GT model made the Falcon nameplate more popular and competitive in the muscle car scene. Powered by a 5.7-liter V8 engine, the 1973 Ford Falcon XB GT became a road king by delivering 300 horsepower and 380 pound-feet of torque. Falcon XB GT's engine was mounted to a 4-speed manual transmission. A rear-wheel driveline made it easier for burnout lovers to find thrills and capture the crowd's attention before leaving dust clouds behind. The 1973 Ford Falcon XB GT model ranks among the top 10 fastest Ford cars for its acceleration speed of 6.3 seconds to achieve 60 miles from a standstill. The car stood out from rivals like the Dodge Charger 440, which achieves the same speed in 7 seconds. The 73 Falcon XB GT had a top speed of 132 miles per hour, which is also incredible. Number 9. 1970 Ford Torino GT COBRA 429. 0 to 60 miles per hour, 6.3 seconds. Before the 1973 Ford Falcon XB GT, Ford had produced another muscle car, the Torino GT COBRA 429. The 1970 model followed the larger, boxy design more than the Mustang. Torino GT had different engine options that all delivered excellent power to match its size. The most considerable engine option was a 7-liter Super Cobra Jet 429 V8 that delivered 375 horsepower and 460 pound-feet of torque. The 7-liter Super Cobra Jet 429 V8 engine was mounted to a 4-speed manual transmission. Such a powerful engine with a 4-speed transmission seems unfair, but that didn't deter the Torino GT from winning against its rivals, like the 70s Chevy Chevelle SS 454, which also had a 4-speed transmission and a top speed of 134 miles per hour. The acceleration speed from 0 to 60 miles per hour in 6.3 seconds and a top speed of 136 miles per hour made the car perfect for most gearheads. Number 8. 1994 Ford Mustang GT SVT Cobra. 0 to 60 miles per hour, 5.9 seconds. Fast forward to the 90s, Ford still produced the best muscle car despite strict emissions regulations. The 1990 tighter pollution standards for emissions for automobiles and trucks by the U.S. government prevented Ford from building powerhouses like the Torino GT. However, the 94 Mustang GT SVT Cobra commanded on the American roads with a 5-liter 302 cubic-inch V8 engine. The GT SVT Cobra ranks in our list of the top 10 fastest Ford muscle cars in company history for its incredible acceleration speed of 5.9 seconds from a standstill to 60 miles per hour. Although the 5-liter V8 pushed out only 240 horsepower and 285 pound-feet of torque, it was arguably smarter than the prior Mustangs produced by the company. The 94 GT SVT Cobra stood out from other Mustangs with a 5-speed manual transmission. Power was transferred to the rear wheels, but still what amazes many car enthusiasts is how the power output was easily controlled. The 5-liter V8 engine gave the car a competitive performance and a top speed of 137 miles per hour, pushing Ford to improve the brake system. As such, the 94 GT SVT Cobra became a much more well-rounded car than the 94 Chevy Camaro Z28, its rival. Number 7. 2003 Ford Mustang SVT Cobra. 0 to 60 miles per hour, 4.7 seconds. In the 2000s, Ford decided to raise the Mustang's performance bar. With the emission regulations, Ford had researched enough and mastered the tricks to revive the 60s and 70s thrills. Capturing the spirit of the earlier decades cars, it made away with a lazy 80s and 90s engine, coming up with the 2003 Mustang SVT Cobra. You'll be surprised to learn that the size of the 2003 Mustang SVT Cobra engine. It was only a 4.6-liter DOHC V8. However, it wasn't about the dog's size, but rather the fight in the dog. The 03 Mustang SVT Cobra engine delivered 390 horsepower and 390 pound-feet of torque. The engine was mounted to a 6-speed manual transmission that transferred power to the rear wheels. The SVT Cobra set the stage for the models that featured higher up on this list for its incredible performance. It pulled from 0 to 60 miles per hour in just 4.7 seconds and attained a top speed of 175 miles. These fourth-generation Mustangs weren't lighter, but still gave enough punch for track despite having a smaller engine. Automatic transmissions had become popular, but Ford didn't offer one in the models. So the 03 Mustang SVT Cobra remained as responsive as the late 60s and 70s muscle cars. Number 6. The 1964 Ford Fairlane Thunderbolt, 0 to 60 miles per hour, 4.7 seconds. The 1964 Ford Fairlane Thunderbolt was a two-door sedan and one of its fastest cars in the decade, with a top speed of 130 miles per hour. The Fairlane Thunderbolt is considered a proper race car, conceived mainly to help Ford compete with other automakers that offered excellent muscle cars like Dodge and Plymouth. Fairlane Thunderbolt was equipped with a 7-liter Ford FE V8 engine with dual 4-barrel Holley carburetors for use in the much larger Galaxy. However, Ford had to use a much lighter engine because engines used in the Galaxy for NASCAR racing would be heavier for the car body. Instead, Ford installed an engine rated at 425 horsepower and 480 pound-feet of torque that would rev up to 3,700 RPM. The engine was later mounted to a 4-speed manual transmission that did incredibly well. Are you ready for our top 5 fastest Ford muscle cars of all time? Be sure to hit like and subscribe for more automotive content like this. Okay, back to the list. Number 5. 2010 Ford Mustang Shelby GT500, 0 to 60 miles per hour, 4.6 seconds. Ford released the 2010 Mustang Shelby GT500 with a tremendous performance to honor Carroll Shelby's name. Carroll Shelby was an American automotive designer, racing driver, and entrepreneur known for involvement with the AC COBRA and Mustang for Ford Motor Company. Well, the 2010 Shelby GT500 has a slightly larger engine of 4.5 liters. The supercharged V8 engine delivered 540 horsepower and 510 pound-feet of torque, making the Shelby GT500 a perfect car to begin the new decade. You'll learn more once we get to other latest models. Ford stuck to the manual transmission despite many modern muscle cars using automatic transmissions. That said, the Shelby GT500 had a 6-speed manual transmission. The power was transferred to the rear wheels. Ford also revised the suspension, and the 10 GT500 became more effective when negotiating corners. Considering the engine power and a top speed of 190 miles per hour, this was a win for the company. Number 4. 1967 Ford Mustang Shelby GT500 Super Snake, 0 to 60 miles per hour, 4.3 seconds. You'd be surprised to learn a muscle car would achieve a top speed of 170 miles per hour in the 60s and 70s. Only 3 years after the first ever Mustang was released came a model considered one of the greatest Mustangs ever. The 1967 Ford Mustang Shelby GT500 was the talk of the decade as the performance-focused version. Ford had worked closely with the legendary Carroll Shelby to create this singular prototype model named the Super Snake. The Super Snake had a 427 cubic inch V8 7-liter that was transplanted from the infamous GT40. The engine had an incredible output of 520 horsepower and 500 pound-feet of torque, achieving a speed of 60 miles per hour in just 4.3 seconds. The 1967 Ford Mustang Shelby GT500 mighty engine was mounted to a 4-speed manual transmission, and power was directed to the rear wheels. This 67 Shelby GT500 became one of the fastest cars in the decade. Also, it became a win for Ford because it was one of the best-looking Mustangs. Number 3. 2018 Ford Mustang Shelby GT350, 0 to 60 miles per hour, 3.9 seconds. The 2018 Ford Mustang Shelby GT350 was even faster, pulling to 60 miles per hour in 4.2 seconds. Although the car would accelerate this fast, it had a lower top speed than the 2010 model. However, the top speed isn't much of a concern to the gearheads, but rather the acceleration speed. Well, it wasn't that slow. 173 miles per hour is also excellent, but downgrading it from 190 miles per hour wasn't quite impressive. But the engine was also reduced to 5.2-liter, so accepting the reality makes sense. This 5.2-liter V8 engine under the hood was excellent as Ford retained the 60s and 70s thrilled experience of putting the foot on the pedal. The 18 Shelby GT350 V8 engine delivered 526 horsepower and 429 pound-feet of torque. It revved to 8,200 RPM, transferring power to a 6-speed manual transmission like the 2010 Shelby. Ford engineers also made intelligent moves to equip the car with a race-tuned adaptive suspension and high-performance brakes. The features made the car perfect for weekend tracks and different terrains. With the 2018 Ford Mustang Shelby GT350 to give you thrills after the busy weekday, an open highway stretch is all you can demand. Number 2. 2013 Ford Mustang Shelby GT500 Super Snake. 0 to 60 miles per hour, 3.7 seconds. Like the first ever Super Snake model manufactured in 1967, the 13 model arrived with a bang. Under the hood was a massive 5.8-liter supercharged V8 engine. It had an output of 662 horsepower and 631 pound-feet of torque. With this sort of power under the wheels, it's no surprise that the model could achieve a speed of 60 miles per hour in just 3.7 seconds. The 13 Mustang Shelby GT500 Super Snake also became a game changer, reaching up to 202 miles per hour. The 2013 Mustang Shelby GT500 Super Snake Super engine was mated to a 6-speed manual transmission, power directed to the rear wheels. The 13 Shelby GT500 was the last Mustang approved by Carroll Shelby before his demise on May 10, 2012. Number 1. 2020 Ford Mustang Shelby GT500. 0 to 60 miles per hour, 3.3 seconds. The 2020 Mustang Shelby GT500 is the latest and the final model on our list of top 10 fastest Ford muscle cars in company history. Under the hood is a supercharged 5.2-liter V8. The engine makes the model the most powerful producing Mustang ever. It has a total output of 760 horsepower and 625 pound-feet of torque. The 20 Mustang Shelby GT500 acceleration speed is fantastic, achieving 60 miles per hour in just 3.3 seconds. With the 5.2-liter V8 as a super engine, Ford was fair this time, mounting it to a 7-speed dual-clutch automatic transmission. Although the car's top speed is only 180 miles per hour, this power is enough to give you unforgettable thrills. So which one of these top 10 fastest Ford muscle cars in company history is your favorite? Let me know in the comments section. Also, don't forget to click the like button and subscribe to our channel.